What if the defining conflict of the 20th century, the Great War, had truly ended all wars? Instead of years of bloody trench warfare resulting in a stalemate, it all begins and ends in a blink of an eye. Imagine 1914, a world bracing for years of trench warfare. But in this reality, that nightmare we know from our history books never really happens. Instead, a swift German victory redraws the map of Europe, and with it, the future of the whole world. What if the famous Schlieffen Plan didn't just work, but shocked everyone with how well it did? Instead of endless trench warfare, the German war machine, a huge, powerful force, blasts right through Belgium and northern France. The Allied lines, they just fall apart. Paris itself, surrounded, totally cut off. The French government, seeing no way out, had to give up. Just like that, France, a main part of their alliance, was knocked out of the war, changing everything we thought we knew about it. The shockwaves ripped right through Eastern Europe and Russia. The huge Russian Empire, already struggling with the war, starts to fall apart. Its Tsar, gone. Not from a slow revolution as we learned in the history books, but because Germany won so fast, leading to total chaos inside Russia. In less than a year, Russia also signs a peace deal, forced by Berlin. Germany now controls the East completely. Only Great Britain, safe on its island, still stands against them. But how long can they really stand alone? World War I is over. Not in 4 agonizing years, but in a shockingly brief and decisive campaign. The Central Powers win. History itself has been violently pulled onto a new, unforeseen path. In this world, there won't be a Treaty of Versailles to cause bitter feelings. No desperate Weimar Republic. No rise of Nazism from the ashes of defeat. No second, even more horrific, World War. But does this quick win bring true peace? Or does it just unleash a different kind of storm? A new age of challenges and global rivalries? This isn't a story about whether this world would be better or worse. It's a journey into the unknown. What if Germany had won the First World War? What kind of century would have followed? Victory. For Germany, everything changes. No broken nation trying to rebuild from ruin. Instead, an empire now deals with its own massive win. The First World War here doesn't cause the collapse that leads to extreme ideas. The Weimar Plan? It never happens. Instead, a German empire, strong but fair, slowly changes and controls the continent. Bitterness is gone, replaced by total confidence. Sure, in those first years, whispers of extremist ideas are there. Small nationalist factions, a few pockets of revolutionary leftists. But they find no fertile ground. Why? Because there is no stab-in-the-back myth to exploit. No lost war to blame on scapegoats. Not on Jews, not on communists, not on Western conspiracies. The German spirit isn't filled with rage. It's filled with pride. Soldiers return not as broken men, but as heroes who conquered Europe. The streets aren't filled with starving veterans or mourning widows, but with victors, with families daring to dream of a bright future. And what of the young Austrian corporal, the failed artist Adolf Hitler? He too returns from the front. In this world, he finds his angry ideas met with apathy, his nationalism redundant. He tries his hand at painting, perhaps finds obscure work in a veteran's office cataloging war memorials. When he attempts to share his ideas in a Bavarian officers' club, he's met with polite, confused silence. Madman, some might whisper. His anti-Semitism, his calls for a savior, nobody cares. The German Empire, victorious and secure, has already won. Even the huge economic storms of the 1920s hit Germany differently. The Wall Street crash has an effect for sure, but the empire, with its vast new lands in the east and control over French factories, has its own economy to rely on. The middle class? It stays strong. The working class? It doesn't turn to extreme ideas. Politics is a contest between mild conservatives, Christian socialists, liberals, not a street fight with thugs in brown shirts. But what about National Socialism? In this timeline, it remains a footnote, just a rant in a pub, nothing more. It never becomes a party, never radicalizes the people of the new German Empire, never runs in an election, never burns books. That infamous book you've heard about is never published, perhaps never even finished. The Third Reich never rises because the Second Reich, the Kaiser's Reich, endures. German radicalism in this world finds no air to breathe, no wound to fester in. The darkness we link to the 20th century takes a different shape. A new era has begun, with its own unique problems, its own fights. But the shadow of the swastika never falls across Europe and the world. The Central Powers' win in 1916 sends a huge shock through Eastern Europe. The Russian Empire, already broken by the war, shatters completely. But no Bolshevik revolution rises from its ashes. No red tide sweeps across the land. Instead, a carefully built network of German-controlled states creates a new order. Moscow's power is broken. Berlin is now the undisputed master of the East. Russian revolution stood no chance against Germany's powerful army and its firm leaders. The extreme left ideas that, in our history, changed the world, are here snuffed out like a small flame in a strong wind. There is no Red Army forged in civil war, no grand communist experiment. The German Empire makes sure such extremism gets no power, that its new order stays absolute. Across these new eastern lands, Ukraine, Poland, and the Baltics, Germany put its own rules and economy in place, without mercy or hesitation. The effects might not be as obvious as the terror we knew in our world, but it's just as harsh, just as unforgiving. People there either adapted or they were forced to. The old chaos and disorder amongst European nations vanished. In its place, a cold, efficient German control took over. Whispers of fighting back, few, rare, and quickly shut down by the new German Empire. The loss of large territories, the imposition of German will, it reshapes the region's economy and society. The German Empire doesn't just show military power, it builds a new economic bloc, a Middle Europa, designed to fuel its industries and solidify its control for generations. But does this victory, this forced stability, bring true peace across Europe? The red flame of revolution might be out, but the embers of social tension, of national dreams, still glow beneath the surface. Under German rule, the diverse peoples of Eastern Europe are restless, and they feel like something's just not right. An invisible, constant pressure builds, hinting at future problems. Think of Hungary under the Habsburgs in the 1800s, an outward calm, but a deep feeling of unrest, later turned into a revolution. Eastern Europe, in this new world, is firmly in Germany's grasp. The red flame won't be allowed to reignite. But can its ashes ever truly grow cold? Let's talk about the 1920s and early 1930s. On the surface, there's peace. But beneath it, a new global fight and revolution is brewing. A silent war between a victorious German Empire and a wary United States. Germany's control in Europe has shattered the old world order. America, long happy staying out of things, wakes up to a shocking new truth. One powerful nation now rules the European continent. The American elite, its politicians and its spies, they see the writing on the wall. German influence is a rising tide, and so the game begins. In the new German-held lands of Eastern Europe, American agents work in the shadows. Their mission? To cause trouble and to help small rebel groups to keep the flame of resistance alive no matter how weak. To weaken German control and make European nations dream of a future where power might shift again. But Berlin is not blind. While America fuels rebellion in the East, Germany looks across the Atlantic. The Caribbean and South America become the new battlegrounds in this shadowy conflict. A clever propaganda machine starts working, designed to hurt American influence, to use local complaints, to turn nations against their powerful northern neighbor. Economic aid and good trade deals. All are tools to gain loyalty, to open a new front in Germany's silent war against America. Two giants, locked in a fight for global power. No shots are fired, no armies openly clash. Instead, it's a war of whispers, of money power, of spies and counter-spies. It's a dance in the shadows, much like the US-Soviet Cold War from our own history. But who will win? Experts at the time saw it clearly. This new great game wouldn't be won with bullets and bombs alone. It would be decided by economic strength, by loyal friends, by the sheer will of either the United States or the new German Empire to dominate. And in this timeline, the winner is clear. Germany, with its strong European power bloc, its growing economy, outmaneuvers, outlasts, and outplays the United States. The German-American Cold War ends not with an explosion, but with the slow, sure rise of German influence and the fall of American power. The world has officially entered a new age, a German century. The German-American Cold War did more than just nail down Germany's global control and clip America's wings. It sparked a storm of new ideas. The 1940s in this different reality aren't about World War. Instead, they're marked by an amazing burst of science and industry, a chain reaction that will shape technology for decades. Engineering and long-term plans for money. These are Germany's key ideas. In the air, jet engines aren't a desperate wartime gamble. They're a state-supported jump into the future. Sleek, powerful aircraft, both for military and civilians, start to appear. And beyond them, whispers of even bolder designs. Craft that can cut through the upper air, that can touch the edge of space. Germany's military-industrial complex, free from the ruin of a Second World War, uses its resources in new areas. Robotics, automation, these aren't just theories in this story. They're real tools changing factories and supply chains. And what about computers? The digital era arrives earlier here. German engineers create the first modern calculating machines, complex analog computers made to solve the tough problems of running an empire and planning military moves. Then the final frontier, space. Germany's mastery of rocket technology, perfected not for terror but for strategic edge, provides the key. By the late 1940s, dreaming of space travel is no longer just a dream. It's a funded, achievable national project. There's no space race between superpowers here. There's only Germany, the clear world leader, confidently moving towards the stars, years, maybe decades ahead of where our timeline would be. In the mid-1950s, while our world was just starting to imagine Sputnik, this Germany is already there. The first trips to orbit begin. Satellites carrying the German Eagle circle the globe. They map the Earth, study the moon, look into the solar system's secrets. They are the first wave making way for human astronauts, for permanent stations, for a future where humanity reaches far beyond its home planet. This explosion of technology isn't just for military and space programs. It touches every part of life. Public transport is updated incredibly fast. New ways of moving people connect big cities. Communication tech, radio, TV, even the first hints of a public digital network changes society. It's the world we know, but faster, supercharged by an empire at its peak of power and ambition. This endless progress creates a new way of seeing the world. A world not hiding from terrible wars, but looking towards a future that seems limitless, guided by German science and engineering, backed by the most brilliant minds of every nation across Europe, all part of the new German Empire. The Great War, ending in German triumph, brings a time of amazing stability across Europe. This new order, built by the Central Powers, leaves little room for the extreme ideas that ruined our 20th century. Political freedom? Maybe limited, but nations work well. They're predictable. Societies mostly are strong. Systems run with German efficiency. And for decades, the economy doesn't just grow, it booms. Imagine the rhythm of daily life. Stability is the keynote. Jobs are plentiful. Cities expand, gleaming with modern architecture and infrastructure. Education, healthcare, public transport, all see continuous improvement. Political freedoms might be curtailed, the voice of dissent muted, but in return, the system offers security, predictability, a horizon clear enough for long-term plans. Around the world, the rivalry with the United States calms into a competition, not of armies, but of plans and money. This fight in tech and economy drives more new ideas. Germany leads humanity's first steps into space. Global information networks, advanced transport systems, the connections of a new world are built mostly by German design. Different ideas take a back seat, yet this Europe under German control avoids the disasters of war, revolution, and society breaking down that scarred our own history. The German imperial system, for all its flaws, its strong-arm rule, delivers a kind of lasting order, and within this framework, most people find their place. They work, they study, they raise families, they build lives. But even in this very structured, logical world, something old, something stubborn remains. A deep feeling of national identity. It lives on in the hearts of the French, the Poles, the Czechs, the many peoples under German sway. Like an old song, a melody that can never be fully silenced. Even when the orchestra plays a different tune, humanity, it seems, refuses to be all the same. The pull of belonging of us versus them stays strong. In some parts of the empire, the quiet complaints against German control are a constant, low hum. The 20th century in our story doesn't become an age of dictators, World War II, and genocide. Instead, it's a long, quiet time of change. A different story unfolds. One that values not endless individual freedom as we chase it today, but steady growth, social order, and humanity's shared progress, all under the watchful eye of the German Eagle. So, the question remains, would you choose this world? A world of stability, of humanity's shared progress, of predictable futures. But perhaps with less freedom, less individual say, and less focus on individual gain? Or would you pick the wild, uncertain, but perhaps truly freer path of our own timeline? What are your thoughts? Which world would you rather live in? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this episode to the end. If this what-if story sparked your interest, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us create more content like this, and tells us you want to continue exploring alternate science and history.